Hello and welcome to the Bad Movie Reviews podcast, where we chat all things movie news, and whatever in between. What is this? Episode 14, 13. Hosted by myself, Ben. We've got Daniel.
Pleasure.
You can obviously find us on all major podcasting platforms, Spotify and visually on YouTube. We'll jump straight into it. We obviously haven't really done a podcast in a week and a half, so there's a little bit of news. Nothing incredible, but a bit to unpack, which some of them...
I've kept up with news over the last week. I've probably missing a few things.
You've probably missed it. This one was announced at the same time of the 15th anniversary of Gears of War. Netflix announced that they're making a feature film Gears of War movie, and I think accompanied by like an animated TV show similar to what you've seen with like Arcane, and then they've got like a not League of Legends, Dragon Age one coming out soon.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Batista.
I'm Batista. He hasn't been casted, but he released a video of him dressing up in the uniform, being like, "I want this."
The man's one.
Which, to be honest, like if he's done that, you kind of look like a knob if you haven't gotten the job.
Yeah,
like you look like a bit of a wanker.
I think he's the right person for it. They're all just.
I don't think he's got the best acting ability. Like he's good, but I don't think like all the people in Gears are just roided up, like no emotion, kind of thing. Like. Good. To be fair, they could make a ripping movie out of it.
Yeah, there's definitely
like there's a lot. There's a lot of plot. Like I mean, I've played all the games. I'm sure you have too. Actually, I know you have. No, there's a lot to tell, and definitely a story to tell. And I think Netflix have the money to kind of. Well, they don't really. They're running at a loss every quarter, but they've got the money to just kind of go. Here's 200 million. Where every other studio are like, yeah, no, not.
I'd love to see it as both like a gory kind of aspect, kind of like what it is in the games. But I'd love to see it as like the horror undertones that it have. I hope it's not just like a pure gore fest. I hope it's really like terrifying.
Could you imagine if they like have the executions and the chainsaw and the blood splatters on the screen in the movie, like the camera lens, like that kind of effect?
I actually feel like that'd kind of be sucky.
It would be so shit, and that's why I was like, when you want like, oh, I want the gore there, I was like, oh, that'd look really like maybe cool once, but if they did it every time.
I've always hated the effects on screen. Like anytime there's like blood and then it splashes onto it, or if there's like water and it hits like the puddle and then hits the actual camera. And
sometimes when it's done
sometimes
when it's done creatively well, like depends on the film actually. Like if it's trying to be really realistic, but if you've got a Gears of War film where they're just splattering blood, like those zombie films where they hit someone in the head and they spit, shit house. This one I'm actually all in for. You may not have any idea, but Bradley Cooper, who I'm a big fan of, he's signed on to star as Frank Bullitt in a new Steven Spielberg movie based on the Steve McQueen character, which is like a spy in the 60s, but a Steven Spielberg type thriller. That, these kind of films have car chases, and Steven Spielberg's been kind of held back a little bit at bay, making films like The BFG and The Fableman, which is a story about his own life. Like I want good movie actually. I did enjoy it, but I'm all for it. I'm a big fan of Bradley Cooper as well, and I've not really seen him in any kind of like spy type movies.
No, I think he's got the range though. He's really good at. I feel like he's got a lot of range. Well, he started as a comedic
actor. His big first movie was like Wedding Crashers, and like he was in Wedding Crashers as the douche.
Quite well known for Hangover and things like that too.
Yeah, and then he started going into more the dramatic route, which obviously paid dividends for him. He's now a pretty critically acclaimed director and actor, but I'm all for it. Big fan of that news. This one kind of depressed me heavily, actually. Margot Robbie, we might actually have chatted about it, that it was announced in one of the podcasts, but that she's now come out. She's doing the press tour for Babylon, which I've spoken about before, and she's actually come out and said the female-led Pirates film essentially is no longer going forward, no longer happening. So I presume it might just be a money thing, because Pirates films aren't cheap. Like it'd be minimum 200 million at least. Yeah, God, yeah.
Is that just because of the casting though? Because the casting.
No, because they build all the boats. They build all the boats to size, and they usually film like in Australia actually in the lot in Warner Bros. Movie World.
Sweet.
I actually visited the set when my dad used to work there back in the day, but I shouldn't get tracked down. But no, there's a massive studio, and they had like the whole concrete, and then they had like it go down, and they just filled that up with water, But like the CGI, it's very CGI heavy as well, obviously. Like I think all of them have been over 200 million budget, even the ones 15 years ago.
Wowee.
Like I think At World's End, which is the third, was the most expensive movie at the time, $350 million budget, which not many films have topped that. I think the new Fast movies apparently reached $350 million budget before marketing already. It's $100 million more expensive.
I did see some of that.
Yeah, it's not good. That's not good news.
So Pirates of the Caribbean is still happening. The new one they announced that Johnny Depp will be back
it's just this female-led one.
The female-led one's been canned.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
It is disappointing because I think Margot Robbie's fantastic, and I'd really like to see her play like an unhinged pirate, like a Captain Jack Sparrow, but a female version. Like,
literally,
and I think she has the range. She's obviously seen her as Harley Quinn, and even watching the Babylon trailer, she's that coked up crazy. Like I'd love to see it, but it's a shame. Who knows if it may switch up. This one's interesting. We've spoken about the Ana de Armas John Wick spin-off called Ballerina, which is about the obviously the organisation that kind of churn out assassins. But Keanu Reeves and Ian McShane have actually been casted in it as well. So it's a John Wick's side
spin-off,
but John Wick's actually in it. And Ian McShane's obviously the head of is it the Intercontinental? Is that what it's called? So he'll be in it as well, which that kind of makes sense because like you obviously deal with them, but Keanu Reeves being in a spin-off movie is a bit weird.
It is, but I like it. To be honest.
If it's just a cameo, sure, but it's like you wouldn't announce that he's been casted in it then because it takes that whole
surprise.
I mean, you look at Bullet Train, for instance, really enjoyed that, and you have Channing Tatum just randomly show up, and
so kind of what we're thinking is it's a spin-off series with John Wick as the main character.
Yeah, maybe, and the love of my life. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. The film, the thing is, they've kind of been done before, haven't they? You've got obviously Red Sparrow, which was pretty much the exact same thing.
Yeah, I think
it's the Ballerina. Yeah, you said it last time. Yeah. This one I'm all keen for. I've actually just copy and paste it. But Empire Magazine, which is obviously a film magazine they've covered, they've done Indiana Jones 5, which has obviously been announced, but they've announced the plot of the film. So it's basically taking place in 1969 during the height of this kind of space war where the US and the Soviet Union are basically trying to obviously get to space first, but they find out that many of the scientists behind the program have Nazi background, so Indiana Jones is fighting all the Nazis in
Is it a prequel?
Well, that's what I don't understand because Indiana Jones 5, I don't know when in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull set because as well as that, obviously you've got in the Last Crusade, all of them he fights Nazis. Which,
you're right, he does.
Which obviously that's 1960s, 79, 1969, 1970s. So it's interesting.
Yeah. I've always loved the movies. I feel like they're great. Crystal Skull was a bit of a...
That's shocking. That was set 57. Okay, so...
Okay.
It's
still
a sequel, but it's set 12 years after, and Harrison Ford's nearly aged 30 years in those 15 years.
He's 106 now going into his 5th movie. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, correct. And I know we've obviously spoken to him about this, but Mads Mikkelsen is one of the Nazis who I'm fucking all in on because... I think he's a fantastic actor, and he's always menacing. But James Mangold's directing it, who did Logan and Ford v Ferrari.
I don't know how much you're going to get out of Harrison Ford. Ford, wow, Ford. Yeah. Added the extra.
You don't know how much you'll get out of Harrison Ford. Ford, yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Going forward,
you watched him in Star Wars. What was it? Force Awakens or whatever, and that's when he cops it, isn't it? The first movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mind you, he did hate that role, and I think he didn't.
But the man was waddling around and could barely run then, and we're talking 10 years later.
I think you'll find it'll probably just be camera techniques. 90% stunt man, and it'll just be camera techniques, so you don't really see faces.
It's kind of disappointing though.
For all I know, it could be unreal. As I said, the director did Logan and Ford v Ferrari, which were both very good movies. So, and Steven Spielberg is, I think, producing it, and he's pretty much all in on it. So,
love to see.
I'd love to see. I love to
Indiana
see
Jones played by Brendan Fraser.
What I don't know if he has quite the physique for it anymore, but I am keen to see him star in The Whale. Though apparently he's leading for best actor race.
See him. Well, I don't know what happened to him, and we won't touch on now. But
I think he was sexually assaulted by a lot of people within Hollywood.
He was.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like it's bad. And then he like Hollywood Foreign Press, like he's actually genuinely favourite to win Best Actor this year. There's a film called The Whale coming out, starring him and Sadie Sink, and it's based on a play. And apparently he's unreal, like one of those obnoxious like film festivals where they stood for 10 minutes clapping him. He started to cry. But I can't remember what happened, but Golden Globes, he came out and said, like, even though I'm front runner, I'm not going. Like, they treated me like shit, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, some bad stuff happened. And he's apparently the nicest guy in the world. So
look, he always seemed like it.
It is sad.
He was someone I kind of, like, idolised when I was younger.
I really liked him as well.
Loved him.
This one I'm all keen. I don't know if you're aware of them, but Studio Ghibli, the animation studio in Japan, who've done films like Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, unreal movies. They're collaborating with Lucasfilm on an animated project.
Why not?
Which I don't know if it's TV show, movie, but think like the really cool hand-drawn animation you get from those studios, like Studio Ghibli collaborating with Lucasfilm, which will obviously be a Star Wars project because essentially it's like Studio Ghibli posted Lucasfilm thing, and then they posted like a Baby Yoda thing, and
I like it.
I'm all in. I
like it. The only thing that I don't like is how like Star Wars just keeps getting churned for more content. Like, I want something serious. If this is what they're doing,
you do say that though, but they actually haven't had anything coming. I mean, Andor's been out, which is actually fantastic. To be fair, Andor's actually really, really good. I've finished it now. I don't know if you've watched more than the first like three episodes or so.
I watched up to about episode 5 of. Yeah, 5.
Unreal. But yeah, they haven't actually brought out a film in Yonks.
Yeah, well, that's what I want is a real film. I'm kind of like the TV series stuff kind of annoys me a little bit. Andor, they've done well, so I'll get
Andor is actually the best thing I think they've brought out.
And they just keep adding in
Lucas.
animated versions. Like they obviously Clone Wars has been ongoing, and then they had Bad Batch, and then
Bad Batch I haven't watched, but Visions was actually really cool, which was like the samurai kind of one where it was every episode similar to like Love, Death and Robots. Like every episode was a different director, and it was like a kind of anthology thing, which I really, really enjoyed. But
I did that with Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool. I didn't know that until like after when they realized that they used like 9 different directors, 6 different directors.
Yeah, I do think that it's possibly the worst fan. As much as I love Star Wars, I try and stay as far away as the fan base as possible because it's the most toxic fan base I've ever seen. This one's a little bit interesting. Blumhouse, which are probably one of the biggest like production companies for horror films, as we know, actually in talks to merger with James Wan's company, the Atomic Monster, which obviously James Wan, his company most recently obviously produced all the Conjuring, Annabelle movies, and most recently Mortal Kombat as well. But he's obviously quite like they haven't really produced much, but he's obviously directed like some of the Fast and the Furious movies and Aquaman. Like I think he's got made $4 billion in box office with the films he's done. So he's obviously quite big and popular. But Blumhouse have done everything. I think they Smile, like obviously all these films within the last sort of. Actually, don't know if they've done Smile. I've just said that at the top of my head, but if it means we're getting like unique, creative kind of horrors, I'm all in because like Malignant, which is one of his films that he surprise directed, was really enjoyable. I didn't mind Smile. I thought it was quite unique and good. But films like that, like even obviously Barbarian's a bit different. That was not A24. I can't remember who that was, but if it means we're going to get these creative, horrors rather than the shitty fucking, The Devil Inside Me or whatever those like standard films are.
Yeah, look, I'm for it and I'm against it. I'm for it because I love the idea of putting all the resources together and having one giant, like mega massive enterprise of horror.
Just do horror, yeah.
And I feel like that's great. You're going to like deliver
it's kind of a renaissance at the moment. Like horror's coming back. It kind of went away for like a good 10, 15 years almost.
Yeah, correct. It's going to be good to see all those, like everyone using all their own tools and abilities together and like making these great movies. The only thing I always worry about when there's big joiners is where like you start to lose that uniqueness and it starts to become
become a bit of an umbrella, like everything. Yeah,
this is kind of ends up similar to this, maybe with a little bit directed differently, but you can see that they've kind of used this from this, and the overarching is kind of feels very similar, very uniform.
No, I do know what you mean.
Yeah,
so it hasn't been finalised or happened. It's just in talks at the moment. So it was a good topic of conversation. This last piece of news before we jump into our movie reviews for the week is kind of depressing. We spoke about it a little bit yesterday, but Chris Hemsworth has released he's starring in the Limitless, I think, sort of kind of docu-series on National Geographic or Disney Plus, and they announced that he had a specific double up of a gene, which means you're like 8 to 10 times more likely to get Alzheimer's than the standard person. And so he's announced that he's taking a break from acting. Now, who knows? I don't know, obviously, when this is taking place. He's obviously starring in the Mad Max Furiosa movie, playing the villain, which I'm super keen for, but not sure, obviously, when that actually found out, because obviously they filmed it a while ago, but really depressing. Like, it's not something.
Nah, it's a pretty crappy sitch.
It's a shocking disease. I mean, I've actually seen the clip, and you could actually genuinely see the sadness in his eyes, and it wanted to make me tear. Because he basically said, if it happens, he won't remember the career he's had, the impact he's had, but won't remember his wife or kids. That's the kind of, and that's exactly what he said. He said, I'm going to take my time because who knows what,
I like that. I feel like a lot of people kind of put their career or future together, before their family, and they think if they do all this now before an issue happens, like work and churn out content and make lots of money, then they're actually helping their family by setting it up. But you help your family more.
You've already I think money wise, he's probably well and truly done that already.
I think
it's So I guess I've paused it for 2 seconds because I had a barking dog, but yeah, I mean, hopefully, obviously, it doesn't happen. Obviously, it's just an increased likelihood, and I hope all's well to him. And he gets, I think you obviously need to stimulate the brain at that, to try and obviously increase the brain activity to reduce that chance. So, other than that, obviously, best wishes, and it's obviously a shit situation, and obviously really like him as an actor, and it's a shame that. Yeah. Obviously, situation, don't blame him whatsoever. But other than that, that's pretty much, I don't know if you wanted to touch on a little bit there. No,
that's all right. We'll end on that sad note for the news and then go into the reviews.
And then go into that, yeah. Well, we'll take a quick 2-second break, and we'll be touching on a few films this week. We've got, I haven't actually seen it, but Daniel will be touching on the Netflix Enola Holmes 2, the sequel to the first one. I'll be touching on Aftersun, which I luckily saw at a British Film Festival, which I don't think comes out in cinemas till Boxing Day. And then we'll be also touching on a bit of an anticipated film for us, The Menu. So we'll take a quick break and we'll chat to you then. Izzy, so I don't know if you want to touch on Enola Holmes 2, being that it's kind of fresh on your mind, and you can obviously touch on that, and then I might touch on Aftersun, and then we can both collaborate our minds in the end of the film we both saw. So maybe we'll do it that way. But yeah, what were your thoughts? I know you enjoyed the first one. I actually did too. Didn't think it was a phenomenal movie by all means, but I definitely enjoyed it. But what was the sequel like?
Yeah, very, very similar. I wouldn't say in any aspect phenomenal, but just a great all-round enjoyable movie. I said it to you before.
Mindless fun kind of thing.
It's just something that I'm glad I watched it, and I would recommend people watching it. It is the casting's fantastic, all the audio design, and they actually base the movie on realistic events too. Things that actually happened within
history, and they've added that in there. Okay.
And they've added that into it and took their own, obviously, Sherlock Holmes and Enola Holmes take onto that, which was really great to see. And there was also it's kind of like a half spoiler, but there was some throwbacks to some pretty famous Sherlock Holmes characters.
Not like a Jack the Ripper.
And bad guys. And then had that involved in it too, which means that because they have those characters involved, it opens up the opportunities for a lot more too. So I think they've set themselves up for a bunch of sequels which could possibly happen.
Yeah, if they keep doing well, they probably will just keep churning. I don't think it'd cost a heap of money to make. I know. Did Henry Cavill had a more prominent role in this one?
He did. Yeah. He
was Sam Claflin still in it, which was the other, what was his name in the first one? Because I actually haven't seen. He was this guy. I actually haven't seen him in the.
Look, non-existent.
Not in it.
Nah.
Because I don't know if he
Not at all.
Mercroft.
No, the guy that plays Professor Lupin in Harry Potter's in it.
Remus.
Yeah, Remus.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
He's in it. He's pretty predominant. There's a couple of like re-existing characters, but a lot of things were kind of really new. It was nearly like it had coming of age aspects too.
I love a good coming of age.
I know you do, but it's
when it's well done, because like that, growing up is one of the biggest complexities of existence, and
especially when you're Sherlock Holmes' younger sister and living in her shadow. It opens up a lot of plot stories there, and it goes over going through love, but then also trying to be ambitious at the same time, then kind of conflicting priorities. It was a good film. And I think I really enjoyed that they used a historical event to actually base their movie on too. So, look,
well,
great
so it's
film.
a true story then, is it?
It's based on a true story. It's actually based on
Millie Bobby Brown was there.
The first ever female movement / strike that was all women for only women.
Oh, okay, so it's So I won't comment on that. Yeah, okay. I'm kidding.
But
okay, I'll give it a watch.
It was good.
It sounds
good.
Very, I just read. Sorry, Sam Claflin, who played Murcroft in the first one, didn't return for scheduling conflicts. So
it was a nice like woman power kind of movie.
Okay.
Yeah. But good. Would recommend a watch.
No, there you go. I haven't obviously seen it. I'll give it a watch, but I'll touch on Aftersun, which.
Yeah, you had a lot to say about
a bit of a different movie, obviously, not quite nearly as big. It's a very much independent movie. It's Charlotte Wells directs it, and it's her directorial debut, and it makes me feel absolutely shit about myself because I'm pretty sure she's, how old is she? I'm 1987, so not actually as young as I thought, but
what's that, 31?
31?
34.
34. Paul Mescal stars in it, who is kind of making waves. He starred in the TV show Normal People, which a lot of people liked, and you've got Frankie Corio in it, who stars as his daughter, and it's kind of just a film about a father and daughter who, for a 9th birthday, they go to Turkey for a holiday, but it's kind of told in a very unique way, where it's a autobiographical kind of movie where they're watching, the video footage, and then it intertwines with, they're watching back on the video footage of the holiday, intertwine with that. But this film absolutely fucking ruined me. I dropped my friend home who I saw it with. I'm not even kidding. I genuinely bawled my eyes out in the car. It just kind of made me sit there and just ponder on life. And it's got one of the best, I think, father-daughter bond in any movie I've possibly ever seen. Like, the chemistry they have is unbelievable, and you believe everything. And Paul Mescal is absolutely unbelievable in this. Like, his ability to kind of show the vulnerability in being, a dad. And there's certain moments in this film where you just kind of sit there in silence, and it's just heartbreaking. And it's something I recommend everyone to see. It's definitely very depressing. But I think it's possibly one of the most beautiful films I've also seen. So I think it probably will be getting a spot in my top 10 at the end of the year. Well, it will be. I'll have to move some around if others pop up. But highly recommend everyone to see this. And it's also something I kind of sat there and I was like, it's ruined my life. Like, I'm not even kidding. I haven't kind of stopped thinking about it since. So
where were you?
I saw it 2 weeks ago. No, a week and a half. Last Sunday, so a week ago now. It's beautiful, beautiful movie. Highly recommend. I don't want to say too much because of obviously spoiler territories. That's why I kind of left the whole plot very, very open. But I do recommend seeing this kind of not knowing a lot. Not that it's, a Shutter Island plot twist or anything, but it's just something you should experience not knowing much about. So highly recommend. But other than that, that's kind of all I really want to touch on because I'll probably fucking start crying. So we might jump onto our next film, which is a bit of a change up, which was The Menu, which is from the critically acclaimed director of Ali G into House. I'm not even kidding. That's actually what he directed. But it stars Nicholas Hoult, who we've obviously seen as Beast in the latest X-Men films, and Anya Taylor-Joy and Ray Fiennes. Love her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark Mylod is the director. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's about a young couple that they travel to this sort of exclusive island to eat at this luxurious restaurant that's fucking $1,500 a head or something ridiculous. And kind of just completely takes some interesting turns. But what were your thoughts on this? Because I know we both were kind of looking forward to it, but I don't really obviously try and keep it as spoiler free as possible because it's a very interesting film.
It went in a direction that I wasn't sure exactly where it was going to go. Halfway through the movie, I think I kind of figured out where it was going and what the outcome was going to be. Not that it was predictable at all, but it was just like I just try to do that with movies, is always just try to figure it out as I go. I know I say it a lot usually when I start my review, but I did really enjoy it. I thought the casting was great. I thought the story was great. I thought it touched on, maybe it's a slight half spoiler, but I like how it touched on the way trauma affects people and the way it affects kind of everyone around you too in your immediate vicinity, whether you know them personally or not, and everything else in between. And always like a nice comeback story, and had some aspects of that. It was good. It was strange. It was I don't know. It wasn't what I was expecting. I knew it was going to be messed up. The trailer made it seem like it was going to be this kind of like, wasn't sure if it had like horror aspects or if it was just going to be like, okay, everyone's going to come, like things are going to happen. And then like in the trailers, they're like, we're all going to die. And they're like, yeah. And then I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, I don't know what the hell is going to happen in this film. And I think that's what I liked about it. It was like, I don't know what's going to happen. And that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. The food looked delicious.
Oh, I loved that piss take that they did.
Well, yeah, I guess I'll kind of go. I really like this film. Don't know what it may be. It's probably in my top 10 at the moment. Whether it is at the end of the year, I'm not too sure. I don't know if you enjoyed it that much, but I haven't seen sort of too many phenomenal movies. But this, I just really, really, really enjoyed every aspect of this. To be honest, I enjoyed the story. I really liked how the actual menu and the food was very much the forefront of the movie. And I really liked all the creative choices. It was really, really well done. Like it kind of really hones in on the performances of the actors. It's 99% of the time takes place in one room, which is the restaurant basically. And when you've got a film like that really kind of takes place in obviously that kind of situation, you really need everyone to bring their A game, and everyone did. Nicholas Hoult, I think, is extremely underrated, and really, really liked him. Hated him, but liked him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's he's a fuckwit, but Anya Taylor-Joy, we obviously expect that from her. Like she's really, really good. Really, really good in this film. But I think the perfect casting comes down to Ralph Fiennes. Like he's very good in this film, and he's got one of those like. And I think it just top that, like tip my hat to the casting. Like he really suits that role well because it's like almost like he's like a gentle person, but something's just completely menacing about him at the same time. Like it's like he seems like he'd be the nicest guy, but his eyes just pierce your whole fucking soul. And like that's and he plays it really well. But 100%. I actually tend to agree. I did not know where it was going, and it wasn't like there was really any like major plot twists or anything. It was just the way the story unraveled about, obviously it's talk about like, society and art and things like that. I really liked its sort of deeper meaning into that whole situation. And other than that, I don't know why on IMDb it says horror it's not really a horror. It's definitely a thriller and a comedy. And that's one thing actually I will give it. I thought it was really funny too.
Yeah, you definitely laughed.
I thought it was really clever and funny, and that's why I really enjoy like black comedies if done well. Top my hat, because to have sort of bleak humor is something really difficult to do, and to like make it fit into the tone of the movie and kind of further along the plot in a way that it doesn't, neglect or kind of insult it in a way, but. No, I thought this was a great movie. I'll admit, I'll probably recommend it to everyone. To be fair, apart from maybe my grandparents, because they'll probably think it's about food for the first 45 minutes, and then all of a sudden, bang, bang, literally.
Yep.
We won't touch on much more, but no, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's a good week for film. Then I've recommended one of my favorite films of all time in Aftersun.
Enola didn't make the old time. It was an enjoyable
the
movie.
menu I really enjoyed, and it sounds like Enola Holmes was a good time. But other than that, that's kind of probably all we really have to touch on this week. Next week will probably be a bit longer. There's a few films. It's a busier week. We were lucky enough to see the menu early, which I think that comes out next week. But we'll be seeing Bones and All tomorrow, which is the Timothée Chalamet one, which I'm really excited for. And then we've got Knives Out 2, Pinocchio, the Guillermo del Toro one, the stop motion, and the Disney animated film Strange World. So there's a bit going on.
I should watch Kubo.
A kind of Kubo on the Two Strings.
You haven't seen
one
it?
of my favorite.
One of the favorite.
It is unfucking believable. Holy shit! I did not know you've not seen it.
I have not seen it.
I actually cried in that film.
At least I don't think I've seen it.
No, you'd know if you.
And there's like an ape and stuff.
Yeah, there's a monkey
trailers,
and a cricket. Yeah. Unbelievable. Other than that, that's kind of all we'll have to touch on this week. So we'll catch you next week with a bit more to kind of obviously mainly four big films. So it'll be a interesting one. But other than that, we'll sort of finish it off there, and you can obviously catch us on all podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, visually on YouTube. Probably do more things like trailer reactions as well when things come out. But other than that, we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, everyone.